Hey, Cap fans, Rick here. And we have a very special show for you today. It was recorded live on Sunday, May 4th, 2025. And it is a chat and review of the new Thunderbolts movie. And so, obviously, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you may want to do that before listening to this. In fact, we actually recommend that you check us out on our YouTube channel. There is a link in the show notes because there's a lot of visual elements to this particular episode. We're sharing a lot of chat information on the screen because we have a bunch of listeners that we're chatting with back and forth, so we get to see that. Plus, we have some videos and some gifs and all kinds of fun things that you probably will appreciate a little bit more if you saw it on YouTube. If not, feel free to just sit back and relax and enjoy the audio portion of this episode.
And I already screwed that up.
Hey!
Well, greetings, Cap fans. Welcome to episode 239 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast, a live edition here on the YouTube channel. And we are very excited to have you join us today so we could talk about the new Thunderbolts movie and have a special guest, Ash Barnes. But before I get into that, Bob, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
Wow, that is deep. I feel like I'm grateful I didn't have to climb to the top of a mountain for that sage advice, but I don't know where it's from.
You don't? Well, Bob, what's today?
May 4th. Is it a Star Wars reference?
It is. It is.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. So today is May 4th. So May the 4th be with you. And it is Star Wars Day.
And also with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we like to celebrate Star Wars Day, even in the Captain America Comic Book Fans Facebook group. I actually shared a little bit earlier today a really cool Steve Epting drawing that he did. And I'll share it here just real quick, but it's a little disturbing.
My force is disturbed. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So Steve did a Darth Vader wearing some Captain America gear, an A on the helmet, carrying the shield. It's a little disturbing, but
he's got the utility belt though, so I'm all in for that.
Yeah, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that the white stripe is just because there's no coloring on this, and it's actually a red stripe like it's supposed to be under the white star.
Right. Yeah. Leave it to you to go for that.
I can't tell you how many things I didn't buy because it had the white stripe underneath the white star. Like, I'm not getting that figure. Nope. I'm not getting that. No. Anyway, so Bob, we got a live show going on.
We do.
One of the things about that is we don't have a safety net. Usually, when you make all kinds of mistakes, I take it out the editing process. I'm not going to be able to do that for you this time, Bob.
Well, I'll just have to be on my best behavior.
All right, and we have people in the chat that will basically keep us on our toes.
Hold on. I misread my cue card. It says I will be on my very best behavior.
Okay.
Sorry.
Fair enough. So I want to say welcome to Ash. Ash, it's been a while since we've had you on the show. In fact, I'm going to say it's going to for a little over 4 years. We had you back on the show way back in episode 18, which was when we did the Falcon and Winter Soldier weekly show, and we had different guests on. You were on for the first episode of that review. So that was back in March of 2021.
It's been a while. Lots happened.
It certainly has.
Yeah, a lot under the bridge. Yes.
Yeah. But Ash has actually been a member of the the Captain America Comic Book Fans Facebook group since July of 2020. And she's been a supporter of the show for over 3.5 years. So we are very grateful to have Ash on.
I'm very grateful to be here.
So did you, Ash, Bob, did you guys do anything for Free Comic Book Day yesterday?
I didn't. I don't have a local comic book store in the vicinity of my community. So it's a couple hours away, the nearest one. So the short answer is no.
That's a bummer.
It is.
Yeah, I didn't get to either. It was my husband's birthday, so we already had plans, but usually it ends up happening that way. He usually has his birthday on around Free Comic Book Day, but this year it was day of, so we didn't get to this year.
Yeah, well, that's a bummer. Maybe your shop will still have some comics for you. I know the one in my store that in my area, which is what is it? Gosh, I can't remember right now. I've visited so many, but anyways, they always do a good job with always having a sale and maybe a guest or something like that. Back in the day when I had my store, that was a lot of fun. I always used to try to have a comic guest there for people to get autographs and along with their free comics. And so I'm at the store yesterday visiting, and I'm trying to find something to buy, just to support my local comic shop. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm holding back on getting the knickknacks. I got too much going on and not enough space, but I was this close to getting this T-shirt, Bob.
I love it. Yeah.
I
missed opportunity.
Yeah. Maybe I can go back. Maybe I can go back.
You should.
Yeah.
Some regrets there. Yeah.
So, Ash, tell us a little bit about what you have been up to, and because it's been 4 years, but also for those who maybe don't have an eidetic memory like Bob, and don't remember 4 years ago, the last time you were on the show, tell us a little bit also how you got into Captain America, and I think you like Bucky Barnes.
I do. Yeah. So I admittedly did get into comics through the MCU as I am a bit younger. I was in high school when the Avengers came out. But that's how I got into it. All my friends, we watched all the movies, all, 6 of them back then. And then I watched them growing up more like the non-MCU movies, of course, but Captain America, I think really hit me when I saw, I think it was when Winter Soldier came out, is when I really was like, oh, I have been overlooking this character, and I just locked in, and I ended up reading all the comics. I went back, I found like reading guides, and I started with Brubaker. So I fell in love with the Brubaker run first and just fell in love with Bucky that way, fell in love with the MCU version of Bucky, but then fell in love with just, everything, like all of it. Obviously Captain America is number one for me. Always Steve Rogers comes first, but there's just something about like Bucky and just the trauma and especially, we're going to get into it with this movie, but that's what really resonates with me with Bucky is watching him overcome everything mentally that he's been through and work through it and whatnot. So, obviously I got really big into like collecting and got into the artwork and whatnot, really probably not until I joined the group. Really like when the pandemic hit, I got really more into like the collecting, and that's when I started physically collecting Cap comics and whatnot. So that's been my Captain America journey.
Yeah, well, I love the fact that you mentioned a little bit about loving the character of Bucky because of all the stuff that he went through, right? And that was something that's captivating in the fact that he has a lot of trauma as Winter Soldier, obviously.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk, I guess, a little bit about that because I know the movie Thunderbolts does certainly get into that. That's a big part of the movie. Yeah, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, yeah, you mentioned that being in the group has sort of ignited that the collector mentality, and
Yes.
the group has a way of doing that. I think I have been turned on to so many new aspects of, it used to be just comics for me, but now there's all kinds of other sort of aspects and dimensions of the character and adjacent characters that really suck you in. So I've enjoyed that. My wallet has, but I have.
What's the saying I like to say about the group? It's I'm constantly being shown things that I had no idea I always wanted.
Right, exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So before we get into this a little bit too much, I want to give a shout out to a new thing that we've been doing recently with the show, and that is ending it with listener questions. So we've asked people to send questions in, and it's been it's been fun answering those. But Bob, I don't know if you recall when I brought this up a few weeks ago. This was your response.
I can hear it already. I can hear. First question is Tom Boyd. Oi! Why do you hate Diamondback?
So
there it is.
Yeah, and because you particularly weren't very nice to Diamondback in that particular episode. So we did get a question in, and I do want to share it with.
I wonder who it's from.
Yeah. Oh, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate snakes, Jock. No, I don't hate Diamondback. It gets bent out of proportion here. I don't hate the character of Diamondback, but I do think, we all have our little things that we like about Steve Rogers. I think Diamondback can be a bit of a distraction. So I don't like the crutch of like a relationship. I think sometimes like for example, I liked Bernie. I liked Bernie because it was like a window into a side of Steve, his personal life. But with Diamondback, like I just feel like it's forced, right? I feel the same way with Sharon Carter sometimes. Quite honestly, I just feel like the relationship bit is forced, and so for me, it's just a bit of a distraction. So I don't hate either character. I just don't find it very interesting.
Tom has a difference of opinion that he would like to share with you.
Surprisingly,
yes. So, and I know we've had James Foley on the show.
Yeah.
And, he has also mentioned. I think when a bit of a distraction. I think James means in a different way.
Yeah, I think he's referring to something completely different. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, as I mentioned, it's one of the things that we're doing at the end of the show. But today, obviously, there's a live chat, so we get to talk with people during it. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention a couple of things. So we do have a new supporter for the show. Michael Udlock has returned. You might remember Michael. He was the director for the community theater episode we did way back at 200, where Ash was Diamondback, and Peggy Carter. She did the lovely voices for those two characters.
And you weren't distracting at all, Ash. You were riveting.
Yeah,
great performances.
Yes. So Michael's back. So thank you for supporting the show again. We really do appreciate that. And if you would like to also become a supporter, we do have the opportunity at buymeacoffee.com/CapComicFans. And this is you can learn more about some of the perks that you get, including not only that for our super soldiers that get to be a guest on the show. Everybody gets to learn about our guests ahead of time, and submit questions for our guests. And by the way, stick around because at the end of this episode, we will announce publicly who our next guests. Did I say guest plural? Yes, I did. And then also there's always the really, really cool what would Cap do challenge coin. And in addition to the coin, we have some handy dandy stickers too. So anyway, go to buymeacoffee.com/Cap Comic Fans to learn more about that. And again, thank you to everybody who has been a supporter of the show, because without you, it'd be really hard to do this on a regular basis.
Indeed.
All right. Just as a reminder too, for people in the chat, if you're not using your name that we know you by, and you're using like a YouTube handle, just let us know who you are, since so we can point that out. Now, should we talk about the movie?
Now would be a good time to talk about that movie.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna have to say, let's do this. Now, I do want to provide a little spoiler alert, right? So I will put this up when we start getting into specifics, in case people haven't seen the movie.
Yeah.
And we are going to get into specifics, and we're actually going to show some clips from the movie as well. But I think in general, we kind of start a little bit about the movie. So, Ash, how excited were you for this movie? Like, did you do any kind of prep? Like, did you rewatch anything?
So I didn't. I thought about rewatching Black Widow, and I should have, and I meant to. And I love that movie. It's a great movie. But I did see it a couple times when it came out. I just didn't get around to it. I did reread. I know I didn't need to, but I did reread the 1997 Thunderbolts series just because I love that series. I'm wearing the shirt for it today. So this movie was really special to me because I love the Thunderbolts, and I love Bucky, and I love John. So I love US Agent. So I was thrilled, and I've been following like the updates since they've been coming out for the past few years, and I think it really lived up to it. So I was very, very, very excited.
How about you, Bob? Did you prep for them seeing the movie?
Frick, you know me. Of course I didn't prep. No, I didn't. My expectations were a little low, not low, but I just didn't have any expectations going into this movie, right? I just wanted to go and have a good time, get my ticket, and go see a movie. And I knew, like, most Marvel movies, I was going to at least enjoy it and feel like I got my money's worth. So I didn't do any prep work. I just didn't have time to go back and watch Falcon and Winter Soldier or Black Widow. And I agree with Ash 100%. I love that movie. I know a lot of folks, weren't sold on that movie, but I thought it was a fantastic movie with some great action and some great characterizations of Yelena and Red Guardian and Black Widow. And so really enjoyed it. So, but nevertheless, didn't really have low expectations for this film. Just went in with an open mind. How about you, Rick? I know you watched 40 shows back to back, read every volume of Thunderbolts.
I didn't do any of that. I was too busy prepping for this show because that took. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say how long, but I do wish I rewatched Black Widow. I only saw Black Widow once in the theater. I enjoyed it, but like you said, there's Yelena, there's Red Guardian, there's Taskmaster, there's some of those elements, and I also would recommend to anybody, if they haven't seen Black Widow, see it before you see Thunderbolts.
Fair.
Maybe you don't have to rewatch it, but you should watch it at least once if you haven't already, because it helps explain the relationship between Red Guardian and the White Widow.
Yeah. And also, I mean, that was the last episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? There's a cameo by Yelena in that as well. I think that is definitely worth it.
I think that was Hawkeye.
Was it Hawkeye? The last
Yeah.
episode of Hawkeye?
Last
Well, it
episode
wasn't
of
the last
Falcon and the Winter
episode.
Soldier was Val.
Gosh,
Yes.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But throughout Hawkeye, Yelena was in there because she was
Yeah.
trying to kill Hawkeye.
Right.
And I thought she was,
Yeah.
to me, she was like one of the highlights of the Hawkeye show.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, there were a lot of appearances sort of threading the background of Yelena before this movie. So, yeah, I mean, if you were to like show up, I think, for Thunderbolts and not having seen any of those shows, I think you're missing out on some of that characterization.
Yeah, 100%. Well, how about we get into? First of all, do you read reviews ahead of time? Anything like that?
I do not, Rick. I studiously avoid them, mostly because whatever the review is, I'm always going to get sucked into the comments, and then the comments invariably a food fight breaks out, and then I just get all upset. So I just ignore the whole thing from the get go and find anyway. It's healthier for me just to go in with an open mind on some of these films.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I see it on. That's why I saw it Thursday night.
Yeah,
like I didn't want to hear anything about anything. How about you, Ash?
There were no reviews out when I saw it because I got to see an early screening 2 weeks in advance. So
Wow.
I actually, when we were in the queue, was when the social media embargo lifted, and we were like, we're not looking at anything because we're literally seeing it in 5 minutes. So I got to go in pretty blind.
What? You got to see it 2 weeks in advance?
Yes, and I was suffering for 2 weeks. I had no one to talk to about it other than my husband, and it was awful.
Hold on. Awful not being able to talk to anybody, or just being able to talk to your husband?
Not being able to talk to anyone.
Okay, good. Thanks for
well, we all have things we regret. That's fantastic. And you've seen it how many times?
I have seen it 4 times as of right now. I saw it 2 weeks ago, and then I had tickets to see it Thursday night. And then Saturday, my husband and I and my brother-in-law went to see it because we just loved it so much. And then I had to go see it again this morning.
Oh my gosh.
Because I don't know what to tell you. If Bucky Barnes is on the screen, he will be seen. I have to take the opportunity while I can when he's on the big screen.
Yeah. And he's in something. Have you guys been watching any of the press where they're going around and the press junket, because he shaved his head. He's got something he's starring in now where he's
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he shaved his head. He still has the beard, but he's a completely different look. Have you seen that?
Yeah, he filmed a movie in Norway, and he missed like the first half of the press tour because of that. And so he just immediately, as soon as they were done filming, started the press tour. So he's like freshly bald. So and I know they're filming again soon, so I'm sure he'll get a nice Bucky wig.
Yeah.
Well, I might try that myself, Rick. I might try to do the whole, because this background thing isn't working with my Shaggy Doo here, and maybe I might try something new for our next show.
Yeah. Don't get me started. James Foley says, "What you're needing to see Sebastian Stan on the screen sounds like his wife and Henry Cavill." I hear you, James. My wife's got a thing for Henry Cavill as well.
Oh my gosh!
But hey, I got to see Witcher out of it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a win-win.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the cast, right? We mentioned a little bit about some of them, but let's kind of go into billing. Florence Pugh, doing Yelena. I have to say, she to me was fantastic. I think to me, she stole the screen whenever she was on, and she just has a presence. She's a tremendous actress, and I'm glad they gave her the lead in this movie because she totally held it.
Mhm. I can't take my eyes off her, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I mean, she's obviously both physically appealing, but she has a magnetism to her that, like a presence. So, I mean, I think she was perfectly cast for this role, and she holds that lead in the movie, like you mentioned. But just like even in Hawkeye, every scene that she's in, she dominates it.
Mm-hmm.
Love the character and love the actress.
Yeah, she really gets that look in her eyes down, that just soulless, that just really sad, horrifying look. I feel like people are going to talk about her the way that people talk about like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. someday when it comes to Marvel, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
high praise.
I think
Well,
so.
I think you're right, Ash, because I do think, we've seen a bit of her journey, right? And it's clear from this movie that maybe that journey's not over, and she is on her arc as well. So I hope anyway we get to see a lot more of her.
Well, according to Mark Domeyer, maybe there was too much of her. Do you think that was possible in this movie?
I don't know. I disagree with that. I mean, I don't think it was overdone. She was the lead. I mean, of all the characters, I think in the Thunderbolts, she was clearly the one who had the most screen time. But I think it was well deserved. I mean, I think they really used her effectively in this movie as sort of the fulcrum around the rest of the cast turned. So it made sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think her backstory it was the most compelling one that hasn't been fleshed out yet.
Mm.
Right? I mean, I think the Falcon and Winter Soldier, we really got to see Bucky's backstory and the trauma of that and what he was coming to terms with, especially knowing the father of a man that he killed. We got that fleshed out. So we also got John Walker's background, fleshed out in that same story. So to me, Yelena really hadn't had that opportunity. So, I mean, she had some in Black Widow, but I think this one really talked more about the trauma, that she experienced, which I think was an important element to the story. And also what brought them all together is everybody having some trauma that they needed to deal with separately.
Yeah. Yeah. They were all broken in some way. Right. And I'm sure we'll talk about that further, but they all were almost like exemplars of a kind of brokenness or, a different kind of trauma. So yeah, it worked, I thought.
All right, well, let's get to Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan. Ash, I think you have an opinion.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he always does great as Bucky. Every time he steps into the role, I think that he is really just the best actor to play this character. And I think that they gave him some good stuff to work with here. I mean, that scene on his motorcycle was just amazing. My theater, that early show, everyone clapped for him in that moment when he showed up on the motorcycle with the truck. I mean, it's incredible. So he's always a great Bucky. But
Even John Walker did, right? He was like, Bucky, he was like,
everyone's excited for him.
Yeah.
Red Guardian always, I love that guy. I mean, everyone loves Bucky, but he's been around for like 15 years at this point. But while I am happy that it was very focused on Yelena and whatnot, and I do agree that Bucky had his time to process his trauma and whatnot in his show. Sebastian does best as Bucky when he's given a lot of like emotional scenes to work with. And I think that there was some missed opportunity to have some kind of anything with him helping the conversation when it comes to like everything that they were struggling with when it comes to mental illness. And he already had his PTSD flashback scene in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he didn't necessarily need that void scene. But seeing Sebastian when he's putting on some kind of emotional performance with Bucky, I think is always when he's at his best.
of course, I only saw it once. But my impression was that, but you're right. Going all the way back to Winter Soldier, he has followed this arc. But we saw in Captain America: Brave New World, he stepped into a new role where he became, and also at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where he became a mentor to Sam, advising Sam. And then we saw that again in Brave New World. And in this movie, we see him step even further into that role, I think, of being in the mentor, because he's been on this journey himself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, it's that I love to see that come to fruition in him.
Yeah, and I would have loved to see like some kind of heart to heart that like Yelena had like with Red Guardian and with Bob. I think that, Bucky would have had some great advice to offer Yelena and help her, or help Bob, or even Taskmaster. Before, going into the movie, I had thought Bucky's situation was really similar to Taskmaster's and this version of the character. So I was making, but I mean, of course, his performance was great overall. I mean, 10 out of 10, he always does great as Bucky, but that would be my one thing that I would have wanted to see.
All right, let's move on to the next person. So that's U.S. Agent John Walker, played by Wyatt Russell. So what do you guys think of his role and how Wyatt did?
I hated that guy, but by the end of the movie,
I love that guy.
No, but by the end, I'm saying, like, what in the beginning of the movie, I was like, man, I even hate him more now than I did like in the show. But by the end of the movie, he was a lot more sympathetic. And I felt like I understood him better. So I thought it was a great performance, right? Because he was able to take me from over here to where, like, I didn't find him likable at all. And even though I didn't find him likable toward the end, I found him deeply sympathetic, and I could empathize with him. And that's not an easy thing to do in that sort of character. So, I was really thrilled with that journey in the film.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wyatt just does an excellent job of being that whiny, cocky,
loser,
kind of approach that, I mean, he's
when he started talking about football championships, right?
Right? In the beginning, and he's just like, what? Who here has been this and this and this? And he brings up the football championship twice, and it's like, we all know guys like that.
You just want to punch him in the face so bad.
I'm like, dude, that was a long time ago.
It's not relevant, right?
You're living in the past. But yeah, he, I think, it's interesting because his character almost has to be like that to hide his insecurities.
Yeah.
And, he has to have this false bravado in order to, overcome any type of weakness that may come out. And, to your point, Bob, it comes through that, he has these weaknesses. He is vulnerable. He is just like us, and he's not just some jerk. He has a little bit of sympathetic type of story behind him.
Yeah. And there was that, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there was a scene toward the end when a little more was revealed about his home life, right? And there a look passed between him and Yelena that I thought was just so well played. No words were spoken, just a look, and it just really was a powerful moment, I thought.
Yeah, and you could like see the shame in his eyes too in that scene.
Yeah.
I think Wyatt Russell's comedic delivery is unlike anything. I think he was hilarious the whole movie. I thought every line out of his mouth was just so funny because of how pathetic he is. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was when they were, like spoilers, but when they were talking in the back of the truck or something, bonding, like talking about his helmet. He's like, yeah, like cool hat. My hat. Like, it's so brilliant. So
no,
like, yeah,
but I'll have to give it. I have to give it to Florence on how she reacted it, and she's like, "Do you think it's cool?"
Women have experience talking
Yeah,
to men like that.
right, sure.
Yeah.
You know, interestingly, I would say, like, back in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, I was not. I got to be honest with you. I wasn't blown away by Russell's portrayal. Right. I think many people looked at like his portrayal as the new Captain America and like were like, eh. But he really brought it home in Thunderbolts and really proved us naysayers wrong, I think.
I'm going to disagree with you, Bob. I thought he was excellent in
Really?
in the miniseries,
Yeah.
because he played the role the way he was supposed to play the role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know?
that's the way it was intended.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm talking just about appearance. You know, just he didn't strike me as the guy that I thought John Walker was, right? Just the looming presence of a John Walker. So I was disappointed in that regard, and I was like, well, I don't know how they're going to make this work, but they did. So
Bob, just read the screen.
yeah,
That's all you need to know.
That's all that matters. Yeah,
Oh!
he's going to say anything to get at me now because of Diamondback. I get it. It's okay.
I know. What is Tom going to say? All right, let's get to the Red Guardian.
Oh, come on.
Played by David Harbour. He, talk about stealing scenes, right?
Unbelievable.
He was great all the way around. Just loved him. And listen, I know I've seen some critics online talk about his and Yelena's accent, saying it's too much like Boris and Natasha.
The Badenoms.
But I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
First of all, Yelena's accent, adorable.
Yeah.
I love how she says, "Where's Bob?" You know, like the way she says Bob. You know,
Yeah.
but Harbour doing the Red Guardian, that bravado, he was so much fun.
Yeah. I can't get enough of him, honestly. Really can't. And I don't think he didn't voice the character, I think, in the third season of What If, the cartoon. He may have, I don't know. But whoever did played him exactly the same way. And he's just a gem of a character. He's good-natured. He wants to do the right thing. And of course he's carrying the weight of wanting to, pursue glory on his shoulders as well. So he's torn between but he's just a good guy. And who can't love him? We all want to hang out with him.
I love Kyle's comment. I want David Harbour to do the directions for Waze as Alexei. That would be fantastic.
That would.
Yeah. How about you, Ash? What'd you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, he was great. He's great in this role. I mean, he is just hilarious. I mean, I think this is one of the funniest Marvel movies purely because of him and Wyatt Russell. So it's great delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, you're bringing us down, man. Mark, did you like anything about the movie? I mean, Mark's in the chat like.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And just the limo, right? Everything was spot on with the Red Guardian.
Yeah, absolutely. He was great. All right, let's get to the next one. Ava Starr, Ghost, played by Hannah Jo Carmen. She had a bigger role in this movie than we've seen her before. So she was an interesting character. What do you guys think of her portrayal, the actress?
Still underutilized. She
agree.
did have a bigger role, but I mean, she's stuck in this. She's got all these great co-stars, and so something has to give, right? And so I think she definitely got the short end of the stick on this one. And
not as short as some others.
no, that is true. That is true. But I liked her because as we were talking about, they all have a certain kind of brokenness, and hers is like she's trapped in this suit, right? And like, what a terrible situation she's in, but she's doing the best that she can. So I would like to see more of her, and I hope we get a chance. I hope this is not the end of the journey for this team. I don't think it will be, and so maybe we'll get a chance to see some deeper study of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I definitely left wanting to see a lot more of her. I don't know, she's super
That's
adorable
usually
too.
Bob's line, Ash.
Tom.
I agree. I mean, I thought she was great, and I did wish I could have seen more of her, but her character is great. I don't know, she's a real good team player. She went back for them twice, even at the very beginning when she didn't have to. Wanted to see more of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of talent and charisma for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I agree on all parts. All right. Now moving to the aforementioned Bob / Sentry / Void, played by Lewis Pullman. So he was an interesting character, and so was wondering how they were going to, introduce the Sentry, and then introduce the Void. And I thought they did a good job there, but I really liked I liked Pullman's play of Bob. Kind of like the simple kind of, in the beginning, just very almost innocent, portrayal. I thought Pullman did an excellent job.
Yeah, he was. I'm like, I didn't know what to expect, quite honestly, right? I haven't done a lot of reading about Sentry, and I've seen Pullman in a couple movies, including the most recent Maverick movie, right? The sequel.
But you also played somebody by the name of Bob.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a great name. Like, who can argue with that? So, but you're right. He right from the very beginning, you're like, what is with this guy, right? He seems like a simpleton. And there's so many questions hanging around him, but that gives some room to like answer those questions along the way. And by the end, even when at the height of his baddiness, he was still really kind of an interesting and sympathetic guy. And you wondered, like, where's this coming from? So I love that character. And at the end of the movie, I loved him even more. As he's, sipping his Coke or whatever he's doing there, his smoothie. So I think, we're going to see a lot more from Pullman, and I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Ash?
Yeah, he did great. I know that Stephen Young was supposed to be cast originally, like Glenn from The Walking Dead, and I saw him in Beef, and he did great. But now I don't think I could even see him in the role because he just did such a good job, and I don't feel like I could see Stephen do like get the puppy dog innocence kind of aura down as much as Lewis did. So it was a great performance.
I agree. And, getting back to Bob's point about the previous movie, I read that Pullman went to the director and said, look, I just played a character named Bob. Can we change his name? And the director's like, no, that's his name in the comics.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he was like, well, can we just call him Robert? And you're like, no, this is how it works. And now the actor is like, I'm really, really excited that how they used Bob. And now I'm fighting to see if I can, be the live action Bob the Builder. I want to go for the trifecta.
Right. Yeah.
So
I am just looking forward to a lot of T-shirts and other collectible items with Bob on it.
Mhm.
Because I'm going to be all over that.
Yeah. All right, let's get to another character. That would be Taskmaster, played by Olga Kurylenko, and she had a role in this. I'll just play Taskmaster in case anybody doesn't remember the character. And if you don't remember the character after seeing the movie, kind of understand why. I'm going to have to tell you right now, little spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie. So the character was in an opening scene and then dispatched and not seen again. And I've heard different people's views on this. A lot of negative, saying it's a waste of the character. I have my thoughts on it, but opening it up to the two of you on your thoughts on how that character was portrayed in the movie.
Yeah, I was shocked and disappointed because of how quickly her role came and went. But it was awesome in that moment, right? It was a great little fight scene, and I was hoping to see more of Taskmaster because we saw her reveal at the end of course, at the end of the Black Widow movie. And she was on her journey as well, much like Bucky, a lot of similarities, as you said. And but we didn't get to see anything come of that. So it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it a waste. I don't know if that's the term I'd use. I feel like maybe just there's there's things that they could have done there. I feel like she would have been a really great addition to the team, and there was some room for some good scenes there. I think she would have fit in with everyone real well. I did notice that she wasn't, like really in any of the trailers or anything. So I think people kind of caught on that she was going to die. I didn't expect it, but I didn't expect it to be after having one line. I feel like that kind of makes me a bit sad, and it's just a little disappointing in general. So maybe it shouldn't have been advertised the way it was. I'm not sure.
I do think, I think every one of these characters on the Thunderbolts, as I said before, represents a certain kind of brokenness. And I think, maybe because she was so similar to sort of Bucky, that it might have been duplicative, right? And they wanted standalones to sort of represent each of these flavors. So maybe she wasn't necessary. Although I do think, I'll use that. I do think it was a waste because I think might have been an interesting and useful character moving forward.
It's interesting. And I've been putting comments up on the screen for those. Obviously people have some strong opinions about it, and I'm going to have to say to everybody, no, I disagree. I think there wasn't a lot of people who really enjoyed that version of the character in Black Widow. And so I think there were a lot of people upset that made a really cool, badass character in the comics into somebody who really wasn't cool or badass in the movie. Then you have the gender swapping, which some people are just going to always be annoyed with. So the character, the way it was portrayed in Black Widow, wasn't a fan favorite to begin with. And number two, I felt like okay, and let me go back to number one. Where else are we going to see this character, right? Like, where else is this version of Taskmaster going to pop up? Which brings me to number two. You said yourself, Bob, you were surprised, right? I think a lot of people were surprised. I think some of us, like Ash, hadn't seen a lot of Taskmaster being, marketed, and they start to wonder. So maybe we weren't as surprised. But it automatically set up in the beginning of the movie, these characters could possibly be expendable. And there's actually a legitimate risk because let's face it, a lot of these MCU movies or comic book movies we go to, we see these characters like they're in peril, but how much are they really in peril? You know, we know, you know, they got so much in licensing, they got so much in, you know, in this and that. Like, you know, is someone really going to die? Are they really something to have major changes to them? And so to have a character in a comic book movie die is a little different and surprising and kind of sets up, okay, well, maybe there's a little bit more peril here. So I thought it was an interesting choice, sort of like DC's Suicide Squad, you know, where they, you know, have some characters, you know, kind of die off for that very same reason. I thought that was kind of the reason they did it in this movie.
That makes a lot of sense, Rick. That was very well put. I mean, I do quibble a little bit. I don't think we got to see enough of the Taskmaster in the Black Widow film. I get some people didn't like the gender swapping. I don't care about that. I don't think the character was developed enough. I don't think we saw enough of the character. I think there was a lot more growth that could have happened. But you know, the way that you've sort of underscored the risk factor makes it more believable, more realistic. I think that makes a lot of sense.
All right, moving along to the last actress that we'll talk about is the character Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. What did you guys think of her performance?
Well, I know I will never, ever leave off the day and just call her Fontaine.
They got smart, Bob.
Smart. Yeah. Oh, I thought she was great. You know, I mean, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, you know, she's kind of nailed this part as they've inserted her along the way. And just had a great personality to her, very irreverent. Very ambitious. You could feel her brimming with ambition. You know, a little unrealistic in some respects, but Nick Fury is very unrealistic as well as a character, and yet it works, right? So, I thought she was great. Very conniving. She pulled that off.
Indeed.
I agree. She does so well at making you just like hate her. Like, oh, like she's so cunning and so smart and so evil that it just gets you so frustrated, and she's so good at portraying that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought she nailed it. Yeah. And can't wait to see more of her. I'm glad she's still around, and quote unquote, they own her.
Yeah.
So you know she's going to now find a way to get out of that.
Yeah. There was a line that she had about there's no good guys and bad guys. There's
bad and worse guys.
Worse, right? Yeah. And that was I thought about that line for a lot, after leaving the movie theater and for a couple of days, because it really stayed with me. And the way she delivered it, she truly believed it. So, and so she we've often said on the show that, a lot of villains see themselves as the heroes in their own story. And she truly personified that in this movie.
Yep. And we got a few comments also here. So Kyle writes, as a S.H.I.E.L.D. fan from way back, I dislike that they use Val for that character, but I did find the speech to Mal about good guys and bad guys to be pretty close to Val. So he agrees with you. All right. I want to get into some clips. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit about overall, what did you think of the movie? And, whether the plot, the dialogue, action scenes, special effects, overall, how would you rate this movie? And you could do a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 5, a letter scale, however you want to do it.
Yeah. Well, for me, Rick, definitely for me, this was an 8.5 out of 10 for me, maybe even a 9, and certainly in the top, third of Marvel movies for me for a lot of reasons, but I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I
Ash?
give it a 10 out of 10. I mean, I loved it. I
Wow.
loved everything they did with the theme of depression and mental illness altogether. I think that's why I love it so much. I love the Thunderbolts because the themes of like found family and redemption, I think they stuck really true to that as a Thunderbolts movie. So I was really satisfied with what they did.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I probably would go. It's a solid A for me. It's a 9 out of 10. I think the story, but also definitely the acting. Some of the things, it's popcorn moments,
Mhm.
and so it's not I don't think Oscar worthy, but as a comic book movie goes, this is definitely a really really strong movie, and I will save where I think it ranks at the end. And Bob, that was kind of in the outline that I
Mm.
provided
Oh
when
yeah.
when
You
we
know,
do these.
I don't read that stuff.
Yeah, it's all right. Let's get to a clip.
Mm.
Again, I'm going to have to say spoiler alert. So we're going to give a clip here, and also I am going to have to provide a little disclaimer here that these are for review only. We do not own the rights to these clips. These we're going to say are for Marvel Studios. But we'll start with the following clip, which I think it really, really sucks you in. So I'll start here.
There's something wrong with me. An emptiness. I thought it started when my sister died, but now it feels like something bigger. Just a void. Or maybe I'm just bored. Boo.
All right. What do you guys think of that scene?
So who here doesn't self-talk? Right? Like going about your day, having a conversation with yourself, sometimes out loud. I found it was very sympathetic as she went about this mission, talking to herself, despite the fact that, extremely dangerous situations, and really struggling. This wasn't like happy self-talk, right? This was like reflective, critical self-talk. And I think we've all been there. So I think we can all see something of ourselves in Yelena at this moment.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I mean, she's wearing a tracksuit. She's not even wearing any protective anything, and you can
Yep.
just see that soulless look in her eyes. Just and just the heartless, careless boo. Just great performance and heartbreaking.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thanks for pointing that out, Ash, that of what she was wearing.
Yeah.
So the director actually said to her and to the cast, own these characters and come to me with what ideas you have. Some of the ideas made it into the movie. Some of the ideas didn't. This idea made it into the movie. Florence came to the director and said, I don't think she should be wearing the White Widow suit. I think it'd be stronger if she was wearing just a sloppy sweatshirt
Rolled out
and
of bed.
yeah,
Yeah.
and had her hair messed up and just really didn't have much energy or care. It was just kind of going through the motions. And he was like, let's do it.
Mm.
And so, to your point, Ash, I think that made a big difference in the scene of how she did it. Now, also, this was uh, she. This was the second largest or second tallest skyscraper in the world, and she actually did the work herself. She jumped off herself, and she fought for that too. They said the insurance companies were like, no, can't do it, and she was like, no, I'm doing it. And now she didn't jump off like what you saw. Obviously, she's got a harness on, and it's all green, not green screen, but it's all taken out via CG effects and things like that. But that was her actually walking off the second tallest building. So kudos to the actress for doing that too.
Yeah, I would have definitely fought not to do that. For sure.
I know, right? Well, what a phenomenal scene. Kyle says, great scene. I think one thing that Flo does that Scarlett never did for me is bring across the lethality of a widow. There's something in Flo's eyes that bring weight to all of her scenes. Yeah. I think I don't blame that on Scarlett. I think the difference was you're seeing the depths of where someone else is in their life, right? Where Scarlett was always on. She was, as an agent, she was always acting. And what you see now with Yelena, that she doesn't care anymore. And so I think that really came through in the performance.
Well, we also saw Scarlett's Black Widow, Natasha, at a different point in her career as well, right? I mean, she'd already traveled this journey for a bit before, and but the ledger still weighed on her, right? Even at that point in her career.
Yep. All right, should we get to another scene?
Let's do this thing.
Okay. This one's kind of like an early fight scene.
There you are.
Now what?
Oh, get over yourself. Jane, out of my way.
That was a great scene.
Yeah. Well, it was a fun scene for sure. I mean, it establishes that these characters are all hand-to-hand fighters. They're all lethal, and they all don't know what's going on. And you can see each one has their own individual mission, right? Like Ghost is focused on Taskmaster. White Widow is focused on Ghost. U.S. Agent is focused on White Widow. It's and you're starting to piece together what's going on here.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was, it was really well choreographed, right? Because they were all trying to get around each other to fight the person that they were assigned to like go after. And so there was a little bit of avoidance at the same time as aggression. So that's not easy to pull off on film, I think.
I also really love the score. I think I want to say that's the Thunderbolts theme. And I love the score, and it just really sets the tone for that scene, I think, like the confusion and the intensity, and also Wyatt Russell. I love him as John, like his mannerisms, like that little shake that he did, the frustration, like the little microaggression there. And now what's like, he's such a jerk. He stands out to me in that scene every time.
Yeah. And of course he thinks it's all about him, right?
Yeah.
Just an annoyance.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. I don't know who Cryptip Zeker 415 is.
Oh, that's Aaron.
Aaron Paul?
I think so. Is that Aaron?
I don't know. So they write, I was really worried they were going to make John Walker look like a punk in his fights. But I'm so happy they made him a powerhouse here. Yeah. And I think the John Walker fans out there are always worried about John Walker looking like a punk.
Yes.
Right. I can't tell you how many times I've seen them basically say, "Ah, this writer, they're just using John as kind of like that, plot device, as opposed to whatever." And so, but I think in this case, we all said earlier, right, that John Walker was used well in this movie.
Yeah.
I think they wanted him to look like a punk as Captain America, but he's great as US agent.
Yeah, and he's got the serum now. So he's got that strength.
Yep. Yes, it was Aaron Paul. All right. So Aaron is the number one Sam fan. So we have the number one Bucky fan here. We have the number one Sam fan here. We have the number one Diamondback fan here. John's not here. I'd say we have the number one Batroc fan. But Bob, what are you the number one fan of?
You, Rick.
That's a good answer. That's definitely you know what? Or I think it was maybe a little bit more appropriate would be
Sergeant McDuffie.
No,
okay.
All right. Getting back to the comments. I'm the number one U.S. agent fan here. I thought that was Aaron Paul.
No, I guess I was wrong. I think he's got another. Hazel's son is Aaron Paul.
Jack Monroe, shout out! I love Jack Monroe too.
Well, I'm going to say, Kyle, I'm going to have to challenge you on that one. Nathan Hanley in the group seems to me he is definitely the number one Jack Monroe fan. Have you seen his original art collection of Jack Monroe stuff? It is amazing. So Kyle, you may have to give him a run for his money there. And now everybody's piling in. All right, Mark. Okay. And of course, what was it, Mark? Was it you that stole Jack Monroe from me in the draft when you were on? I can't remember. All right. Oh, very nice, Kyle. Look at that. What a gentleman. So let's get to. We have one more scene to get to. Let's go over here. And this is the scene towards the end. Well, maybe the last third of the movie.
Today.
Congressman Barnes, wow. I never really thought you'd have a promising political career, but less than half a term. Yikes.
We're taking you in, Val.
I don't think so. Junior varsity, Captain America.
Walker.
Oh, nice to see you, Ava. Elena, you look awful. You sure you're really ready for that public-facing role you asked me about?
Eat shit, Valentina. Where's Bob?
Look at you. You are all so adorable. Just think, I send you down there to kill each other, and instead you make nice and you form a team. Who is this old Santa?
Alexei Shostakov. The Red Guardian.
What?
So many things I loved about that scene.
Yeah.
First of all, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, perfect. The way she looked at each one, the way she was so condescending. She had the quips for each person. the junior varsity Captain America. I mean, she was just, the only person she didn't insult was Ghost. And that's because she was taken aback by Yelena looking at her. And then, of course, who was the old Santa Claus?
What's old Santa? Santa is old, right? I mean, if you're an old Santa, that's bad.
Right. But again, I love Yelena, her accent. Where's Bub?
It's very cute. Yeah.
I love that scene. And the other thing too is so cool. Did you guys notice how they all went around to circle her? Right? Like they didn't have to talk to each other. They're a team that hasn't really been a team, and yet they already knew how to, make this formation around her. And I thought that was, just something that was really interesting to me.
And I loved the Bucky and John interactions there. Just the fact that Bucky can kind of like calm him with just one word, like, I don't know. And then he just kind of like, fine, I won't kill her.
Right. Yeah. Again, he's like the adult in the room, kind of, right? The mentor, right? And he can correct with a word or a look. Right.
Yeah, great point is Who's the Old Santa is funnier because David Harbour played Santa in Violent Night. Do you guys ever see Violent Night?
I did not.
No, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have not. I'm not a horror movie fan, but yeah. But anyway, yeah, Julia was great. Loved her role in this movie, and I think scenes like that just shows how much she brings to the movie.
Now, if they could just work Kramer into this the next go around, that would be awesome.
Actually, it would probably need to. It'd be great if like she opens up the door, like here's one of my henchmen, and she opens up the door, and it's
Newman.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So let's get to where does this movie rank in the MCU movie? So this is I want to say the 35th MCU movie. Yeah, this is the 35th, not including the TV shows or anything like that. And we already know what Bob feels it's in the top third.
Yeah.
Bob, do you want to get more specific?
Yeah, I do. I do want to say it's in the top third for me, right? But I want to caveat that because this movie's a little bit special. It's a little bit different. So I look back, maybe Winter Soldier has a real redemptive theme to it, and this movie does too. So it's a little bit different, I think, than most Marvel movies because while it's entertaining, it's action packed, it has great characterizations. There's a broader theme to the movie, right? So, like, even if you're not a big Marvel fan, you can still get a lot out of this movie, just because the message is so there for you to take. So for me, it's in the top third. I would definitely put it for me in probably maybe the top 4 Marvel movies. I enjoyed it that much, but I also, because I think the message that it shares with the audience is so vital and is done so well that it has a special place of its own.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Ash?
Yeah, I agree. Not only is it in the top third, but I don't know if it would be in the top 5 for me. I know obviously the Cap movies would be the top, but I mean it would probably be like maybe number like 4 or 5. But I mean I agree. Just the message as someone who struggles with depression and all of that wonderful stuff and has some trauma. I mean, this movie is Marvel has really never done anything like this before in the films. They've never gone this deep with addressing depression and I think how like the characters, because these characters all go through horrible things every day and they've never really gone this deep how to deal with it and whatnot. So that really gets it up there for me. I also didn't think I would like the movie if Zemo wasn't going to be in it, but I did. And I did completely gaslight myself into thinking that he was going to be the surprise twist at the
Mm,
end, like in the original series. Like up
Right.
until like the week before I saw the movie, I was like, I'm not going to be happy if he's not the surprise twist.
Yeah.
Just because I'm a big Zemo fan and they kind of teased him. But so
Mhm.
I'm actually surprised by how much I loved it, even with that.
yeah, all great points.
Mm.
It would have been cool if Zemo did show up kind of along the way. I think a lot of people were hoping for that or expecting that. Yeah, so for me, it's definitely a top third movie. But I have to say, Ash, if this is not a, a top three movie for you, and you gave it a 10 out of 10, how many 10s out of 10s did you give to the MCU movies?
Oh, well, I would give the first Avenger 100 out of 10. I watched that movie a concerning amount. It's a great Steve Rogers movie. And then, I mean, Winter Soldier, of course, 10 out of 10, and I love Civil War. Um, and then Endgame. Endgame is a 10 out of 10, and an Infinity War. So I think those are my 10 out of 10s. And then
Okay.
Thunderbolts.
All right. Well, you said 100 out of 10. You're using Bob math now.
Yeah,
So,
there, go for it. Go for it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
I use that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, this was definitely a solid A. And I definitely top third, probably in a top 10 of movies that I enjoyed. And I think for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, and I do feel that the mental health aspect of the story was really important and hasn't really been touched on as much. And I think they did it. I mean, I don't want to say they did it subtly because I don't think it was subtle, but they didn't go over the top and in your face either. You know, it was just,
Yeah.
it was so well done that I don't think anybody's, you know, saying, oh, you know, it's such a, they're throwing it in their face, it's woke, it's this or that, you know, and it wasn't. But then again, it wasn't subtle either. It was just that I think that's a great credit to the writers on this. Uh, so yeah, I someone had said, the MCU is back, you know, with this movie, and it wasn't following the MCU formula. So yeah, I tend to agree with that, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to see it a second time.
Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, the MCU has addressed mental health before. I mean, Iron Man had PTSD. You know, a lot of the heroes had PTSD after the snap, right? A lot of folks were having a hard time dealing with that. We saw group counseling sessions, right? Support groups meeting in Endgame. But this was a little bit different, right? Because we're, as I mentioned earlier, different kinds of brokenness, right? Regret, shame, feelings that you haven't lived up to your potential. You know, sort of the physical limitations of brokenness, right? Being trapped in a suit to maintain the integrity of your body, like different types of brokenness that anybody in that audience could identify with in some way. Maybe not to that extent, but certainly in some way. And so, while I'll be honest with you, I'm a big softie, and like Endgame, you know, yeah. Winter Soldier, I
Mm-hmm.
tear up, right? I love a good emotional scene, but this movie, it like had me tearing up frequently because like I felt it very deeply, and I think a lot of people did, right? So I think this is going to get better with age for me and for a lot of viewers that even maybe came into the first viewing and said, I liked it, but it didn't really hit me. But I think with subsequent viewings, I think it will resonate with a lot of people.
Yep. Yeah, excellent points. And people in the chat are giving their rankings as well. Most are positive. Most are pretty high. You know, a couple maybe in the middle. Don't see anyone who really didn't like the movie, which we couldn't say that about, you know, for example, the last Captain America movie, right? So I think this movie definitely hits home with a lot of the MCU viewers. Um, one question was, how do you guys feel that this movie kind of sacrifices a proper depiction of the Thunderbolts, since they made a joke out of the name origin?
I've been going back and forth on that. Again, just because I love the original Thunderbolts, I would have loved to see, I would love to see those characters on the screen, like the original lineup. I don't think that would ever happen in the MCU. So I feel like this is as close as we'll get to Thunderbolts on the big screen. Again, I would have loved to see Zemo. It was his team at the very beginning, but just because they stuck so true to, I think, the core themes that I would consider like the Thunderbolts of struggling with morality and like doing the right thing, being a hero instead of, and then found family. I feel like a lot of people have been saying that this team feels like they're even more of a family than the original Avengers in the MCU early on. So I don't know. I go back and forth. I would have loved to see something more accurate, but I'm also surprised at how well they did it in comparison to the comics, I guess. And Mel, she could be Songbird. Who knows? I it's like nice that they do these subtle little nods to the comics sometimes, but also I wish sometimes they would be more explicit with it. Some people were pointing out that she had the songbird necklace on and she used like a sonic sound device. So maybe they'll do something with that in the future.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I just put up on the screen just the ratings seem to be going really, really well. This movie is, the critics as well as the viewers are giving excellent ratings on the movie. So that, says a lot for hopefully getting people back into the movie theater and, giving the Marvel studios some like, hey, maybe you can try some things like this, maybe less formulaic, maybe getting the actors, to own the characters and come up with some things, that work. So we'll see. But getting back to what you were saying, and some of the people in the chat were saying about Thunderbolts, right? And it has a little asterisk, at the end, and we finally get to see what that means, right? It's and the asterisk is, again, this is a spoiler. The asterisk means New Avengers, and when they were creating this movie, it was almost like the Thunderbolts was the title that was holding it in place, and then when they were going to release it, they were going to release it as New Avengers, and then they decided not to, instead, do what they did at the end. And I loved the reaction in the credits, right? You see the headlines,
Yeah.
And it was almost like they were doing a preemptive strike, of like, because fanboys are gonna go out there and say New Avengers, and have their ideas and everything. So they almost did like a preemptive strike by doing it themselves, And my wife, she loved the fact that they called it, one headline called it B-Vengers, because it's the B crew. So what do you guys think of that?
Well, I liked it. I'm not sure it's certainly not permanent, right? Because they do talk about this at the end, and there's a dispute over trademark about the Avengers, right? And I don't want to go into that because I want to ruin the fun for folks who haven't seen it yet. But so we may see this team back as the Thunderbolts in some future instance, and I hope so. I hope that that's the direction it goes in.
Yeah, I will say, let's talk about the end credit scene real quick, right? So now there's two end credit scenes, right? There's the mid credit scene, which is hilarious. And if you guys want to talk about that, we can. But really, I think what people want to talk about is the last one. Now, which is really interesting. I don't know if everybody knows this, but that end credit scene was directed by the Russo brothers, and it was actually done on the set of Avengers Doomsday and was filmed 3 weeks before the movie was released. Like they literally got on the set to do Doomsday. This was one of the opening scenes that they filmed, and then they put that in as the end credit. So if it has a different feel to it, it's
Yeah.
because it was directed by different people, the Russo brothers.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's fascinating and exciting.
See what happens when you do a little research prep work?
I know. Well, see, I don't want to do that. I like to be, it's all comes from here.
Well, this is the part where you guys, tell me what you thought of the end scene.
Well, I was flabbergasted when Bucky walked out with his Revolution star on his arm, and he doesn't have the cape, which is probably for the best, but
Probably for
he's
the
got
best.
like the all black, the vest, and just the swept back hair. And oh my God, I love that run. I love that run by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. In Carmen Carnero, and I have not really gotten to have a reaction like that of seeing like new comics adapted to the screen like that before. And so just seeing Bucky walk out like that, I was like, oh my God. And then like, I won't spoil the rest of the scene, but I couldn't even be excited for the last half of the end credit scene, because I was just like, oh my God, he's got the Revolution star. I can't wait to see like what Carmen Carnero is gonna say and all this. So I think he looks fantastic. I love all their new looks, and I like his hair looks so much better. It looks like he washed it. So that's always great.
You had me at swept back hair. Yeah.
I mean, the internet certainly likes it too. I mean, so
Oh,
I'm really thrilled with this development, and I hope that they actually. I was really relieved when I heard that they had just filmed that recently, because I didn't know if they were going to do like continuity and actually keep them all with those looks. But if they filmed that recently, maybe they do. So I hope he gets to look like that.
I love that. First of all, the audience erupted with that end credit scene, and rightfully so, because it is truly exciting. But I do want to like go back. You said continuity, and one of the things that I really didn't like about this movie was in Captain America: Brave New World, Bucky was running for Congress, and in this movie, spoiler alert, he's a member of Congress, and there's nothing there. Right? Like, why did this happen? How? And first of all, like, how's he running around as a guy out there with a metal arm and everything as a member of Congress? And so I wish there had been a little bit more to connect to the continuity between the TV show, in the Brave New World and this movie.
I do know that they said that Thunderbolts takes place a year after Brave New World, so I guess that is like the timeline and stuff. But I was really on the fence about the whole congressman thing when I heard that they were doing that. I was so against it. I was like, what do you mean Bucky Barnes would be in politics? He would hate that, and he would be bad at it. And then we see him in the role, and I like it a little bit more now, because we see that he is bad at it and he doesn't like it. But and it's because that's not the way that he goes about doing things. He wants to do good the way that he has been doing it as the Winter Soldier, not fully the Winter Soldier anymore, but that's still in him, and that's how he does things. So
good point.
I was relieved that they did it the way that they did it, and it's funny. There's funny things about it. So
there is. And he represents Brooklyn, so that's his district.
And he doesn't wear his glove anymore. He gets to walk around without his arm. He used to wear his glove a lot more, and then I noticed once he's healing a bit more, and he doesn't really care about civilians staring at his arm anymore. So I liked that detail.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Question is Bucky allowed to be a congressman while still being an active Avenger?
These are good questions.
I got to brush up on my congressional rules. I don't know. I guess
imagine seeing the congressman, your congressman, fighting aliens in outer space. I don't know.
Where does he park his Quinjet? So, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're wrapping this up, and I want to thank everybody for watching the show live and putting comments in there. And so hopefully, when this goes out later this week, people are watching on YouTube because the comments have been fantastic. and I appreciate everybody chiming in. I just want to say, coming up, we've got some cool things coming up. As I mentioned before at the beginning of the show, that we would be announcing who our next guests are going to be. And so I'm going to go ahead and put onto the screen our next 4 episodes. Bob, should we give away all like the
Why
next?
not?
All right.
Yeah,
all right,
we got a
there you
captive
go.
audience.
All right. Come back next week where we come to the Captain America Becomes Nomad Part 4 of our long tail story, which has been getting really good by Steve Englehart and Sal Buscema. And then, I don't know if people know this, but May is Asthma Awareness Month. So what better time for us to do Cap Meets the Asthma Monster? Remember that one shot from 1987?
Oh my. We had a good time recording that one, Rick.
We did. And then with all this talk of Thunderbolts, we had to do a Thunderbolts comic. And so came out a little bit earlier this year with the whole Doom crossover story that's we got going on. So we thought we would do panel by panel drama of Thunderbolts Doomstrike #1. And who is that written by? That would be Jackson Landing and Colin Kelly. So we'll have them on for their 4th time appearing on the show the following week with episode 243. So any of our patrons of the show, as you know, get your questions into us in the next, I think, week or so. And maybe we will ask your questions to Jackson and Colin on the show. All right. This is the part we have to kind of fill the silence. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, you're doing such a great job. But I was hoping to see some more comments about the asthma monster. I know
Yeah.
a lot of folks aren't familiar with that, but many people are. So, and we talked about maybe if this is a big hit and we get a lot of positive reviews, we'll do the sequel next year.
Yeah, right. Because there was a sequel that Marvel created. It was the return of the asthma monster. So we will see how people react to that one in a couple of weeks.
I don't think I knew there was a sequel. I
Yeah,
don't think I knew that.
yeah. I think we're giving everybody plenty of time. So when you go to your comic conventions, go to the dollar bins and keep an eye peeled for Captain America Asthma Monster.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun read, as you will learn if you tune into that show.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. And wait a minute. Vincent says, "Do you think we should get the Asthma Monster in the MCU?" I think eventually every character is going to make it into the MCU in one way or not.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Jack Black as the Asthma Monster. It would be fun.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Again, thanks for joining us, and it's been a lot of fun. Thanks, Ash, for being a guest on the show.
Thank you.
Always great to see you, Ash.
All right, and as always, if you don't mind, while you're on YouTube, smash that thumbs up button and give us a like. If you are an Apple, please give us a 5-star review. And as always, we love your questions and comments in Facebook as well. And as always, we thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.